I've been thinking about what's been my hardest job that I work. You know, back in 2015, 2016, my student loan was above $94,000. And now, as of August 2019, it's below 40,000. And as you know, this is countdown day 24 to my trip to Vegas, where I take $1,000 and see if I can win $547. That's basically 1 month payment of my student loan. And I'm just thinking of what was the hardest job I worked? Was it when I worked at Target? Was it when I worked at Macy's asking, hello, would you like to open up a Macy's credit card? Or would you like to sign up for Macy's Thanks for Sharing? Was it when I worked at Costco home decorating where I was just trying to keep my head above water? Hello, this is Martin. Would you like to sign up for Costco home decorating? Was it when I worked at an event where I helped roll up these big giant blow up things and move them around, and they weighed about 50 pounds? Was it work that I worked at UC Riverside where I helped prepare a banquet where I did dinners and carried these platters around for 2 hours? You know what my hardest job was when I had to kick out my grandmother's family friend, who I thought was a friend from our house, and sell my grandmother's house. You know, when my grandmother passed away, she left me and my brother a house, and she also left me a problem because when she started to get ill, she ended up spending a lot of time in a convalescent home, and a friend of the family, her friend who she had went to church with, moved into the house. Well, this person moved to the house was supposed to be helping out during by contributing money for landscaping, making minor repairs, and helping pay the rent. Well, I ended up taking on the responsibility of paying the rent, and I just wanted this person just to help with the landscaping while my grandmother was in the hospital. And then once my grandmother got out of the hospital, she could come back and have her regular dart and come back. Well, that should have been a red flag to me, but I didn't pay much attention. So after the funeral was over and I had to decide what I was going to do, well, I remember sitting down with her and just telling her, hey, this is how much we are paying on the note, $200, and the house will be paid off in a couple of years. And if you pay the rent at least 1 year straight, hey, you can maybe get a loan to buy it. And we filled out the agreement. Well, I kept getting calls from HomeQ. That was the person, the lender for the house. And I was like, called her up, Sister Flo, did you pay the rent? Or are you going to contribute to the loan thing? Oh, I'm going to pay it. I'm going to pay it. So I remember going over there one day. Okay, I'm here to pick up the rent. The rent is $250, and from the rent that's $250, I'll pay the $200. And I remember I drove from my house to some place called Southgate or somewhere, all the way around to only get $100. And this is like not the second time that she hadn't paid me for the rent. So she was already behind 1 month rent. So I ended up spending 4 hours chasing her around to get $100. Fine, I got that. I said, okay, can you just make sure you have the money for me next month? So what happens? I go over to the house. Oh, I can only give you $80. And I'm just thinking, all I'm asking is for this person to do. The rent for the house is $200. You have a 2 bedroom, 1 bath house. I agree the termites and stuff in the area may be bad, but you're basically getting a bargain where even if an apartment in the hood, you're going to at least pay $500 to $600. And it was just boggling my mind. Like, why am I fighting this person over such a small amount of money? But I remember my grandmother saying, oh, hold on to the house, hold on to the house. It'll be worth something, it'll be worth something. So I didn't sell it. And then also what made things worse now, the landscaping guy had stopped coming by because the person didn't pay the landscaping. So now I had to find someone to come by, hire a new gardener to come by and clean up because the tenant that was there had stopped paying the landlord. So that was another problem. And then it just kept getting worse. I got a letter from SCE. Well, you know what? The power line is too close to the roof, so you have to put this special antenna thing to lift up the roof. Fine. Well, before I did that, I had to coordinate with the neighbor to do that, so I asked the tenant in the house, could you at least coordinate with the neighbor to get their trees trimmed so we can get this special equipment set up? Of course not. And I ended up going over there having to get that done. And then there was something with the power fuse went out. Could you pay for that? Oh, I'll pay for it, but then you have to pay me back. Fine. My mind was at least I have someone staying in the house and don't want to break in. But I didn't realize when she was not paying, I was losing at least $100 to $200 a month from the rent not being paid, and also just the stress of this person being in a house and just growing resentful. Here my grandmother tried to be nice to this person, let her move into the house, and what does she do after she dies? Instead of saying, hey, I'm going to just try to do my best to keep this house, she just basically fucked up the situation. And the situation finally came to a head where Home Q called me up and said, Mr. Morris, the rent is behind by about 3 months. Because I thought, I don't know what I was thinking. It was my mistake. I take full responsibility. I thought she would at least pay the, I don't know why I was thinking she was going to pay. We had made an agreement, instead of paying me, that she would just pay Home Q. And she didn't do that. So to get that all resolved, that included like the back rent, fees, and the taxes that didn't have to get paid. That cost me another $2,000. So I was out, gosh, I think I was out about $5,000 the first year after my grandmother died. And then the second year was no better. And then I thought, hey, maybe I'll let my uncle move in with her. They can split the rent. He can pay 100, she can pay 100. And then I wouldn't have to pay the Home Q and just have a little extra money. That turned out to be a disaster. The uncle ended up getting kicked out, changing the locks in the door, police getting called. And then finally, what ended up being like I just couldn't handle it anymore, because she was saying, oh, I want to have the roof fixed, and she wanted just all this stuff done. I'm saying, you haven't contributed any money to the house, yet you want me to spend money. And finally what happened was I walked out my door, because across from the house, there was a Section 8 house. There was always problems in this house. I was always calling the police. There was a loud noise going on. And I finally walked out, and this one black guy came out with a bunch of tattoos on. And I just said, fuck it, that's it. And I just found an investor. I paid her about $1,000 to move and sold. So if I was smarter, I would have just sold the house sooner. But I let the emotions get in my way, because I was thinking, hey, this house will be worth something. But it's in the middle of the hood, across from Section 8, across from the westbound lane of the 105 freeway. And I should have just got rid of it. And my biggest sale was convincing myself to find an investor, sell the house, and just get out from under the stress. Because not only was I falling behind $200 to $500 a month, it's just the stress of this person just living scot-free. And every time I went over there to pick up my mail, it was just driving me crazy. And I was thinking, I'm just going to blow up one day and do something crazy. And once I saw that guy across the street, I realized, this is not Beverly Hills. This is not even Torrance. This is not even a nice side of the ghetto. This is the hood. No one's going to buy this house. The only person that's going to live in this house is some immigrant that moves to California, stays here for a while, blows out, or I don't know. You know what I'm saying, if you've lived in this type of area between Avalon and Imperial. Or maybe the immigrant will be happy, or the person from another state will be happy. But I'm not happy, and I sold the house. And I was able to take that money that I was losing, and also maybe take at least $100 of what I was losing each month, and throw that at my student loan. So that's my background. My hardest sale was selling my grandmother's house that her and my grandfather had owned for 50 years, which had basically been eaten by termites. The foundation was falling away, and it would cost about $30,000 to repair. And if I moved anyone in, it would have to be a Section 8 person. So lose on the money fixing the house, lose on having to deal with Section 8, and fucking lose on having to deal with like LA telling me I got to leave this idiot in here who's fucking up my house, because they don't want them to be homeless. And now, as I head for my day 24 in Vegas, let's talk about the blackjack tip of the day. The blackjack tip of the day is, if you get a pair of 8s, always split 8s. So if the dealer is showing any hands, split the 8s. And also, like, I've been in dentist's office for over 35 years. And my dental suggestion for you for the day is, when I was in high school, a sophomore, I actually did the calling to the dentist to set the appointment, and actually begged my parents to go. My mother and father wouldn't take me, so I had to get my grandmother to take me. So when someone comes into your dental office, they're coming in there for something. And unless your dental office is totally destroyed, you need to do your best to follow up with that person. Even if they don't buy, follow up with them. Hey, Martin, why don't you come in for a free cleaning? Let's see how things are going. And if you can't follow up, you follow up. You find a way. Call them, send a a thank you letter for coming in, and then ask them for a reference. If you make them feel special, they'll say, hey, I want to go back there. Because I've been in many offices from San Francisco to Torrance to Beverly Hills, and the best ones are the ones that are making money. A dentist that making money is a happy dentist. Who wants to see a dentist worried about the bills, nagging the customer staff about calling people up to get money? That's not my job. But as a customer, I've seen that, and I want to give this tip to you. So my tip to you today, and we'll go into detail later, is to follow up. You have a great list that you've built if you did it properly with your lead generation. Now you got to do the old-fashioned thing. Cold call, send letters, send text, send email. Give them special. Invite them to like a special seminar. But keep following up. Follow them up until you die or they die.